to discuss the I'm sure all of you know, as energy experts and energy industry experts, that navigating the maze of utility, federal, state, income-based incentives, tax credits, rebates, what have you, is difficult even for us. So it typically presents a very large barrier for consumers in both residential and commercial environments. So our three panelists are going to address these issues, talk about some tools that will help bridge those gaps and see what's going and help you see how we can all advance. So I'm going to hand it over to Noah, and I will happily advance your slides.
Great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share a quick update on the federal incentive landscape and then some consumer resources that we can all use to help Virginians take advantage of the incentives still on the table. So we can go to the next slide, and I will just introduce Rewiring America briefly. For those who don't know, Rewiring America is a national nonprofit that's focused on making households the center of a clean, resilient energy future. We do that by bringing together elected officials, industry partners, and community leaders to shape and implement policy, create purchasing power, and unlock the full value of residential energy infrastructure. Our goal is to make electrification and energy efficiency the default choice for every American home. And at Rewiring, I lead our federal policy advocacy. And you can go to the next slide. So speaking of federal policy, we all know that it's been a turbulent year this year. The Inflation Reduction Act, when it was passed 3 years ago as the single biggest investment in clean energy in U.S. history, included game-changing tax credits and rebates for homeowners across basically everything they would want to upgrade inside the home. Credits for heat pumps, solar, insulation, EVs, all designed to cut bills and cut air pollution. But as we know, this summer, the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill rolled back parts of the IRA. And for households, that means that many of these credits will sunset at the end of this year instead of continuing through the decade. The small sliver of good news is that homeowners still do have time to use these credits before they expire, and there are state and local incentives that will last beyond 2025. On the next slide, I've just highlighted a few tax credit deadlines, three big deadlines to keep in mind. The first one passed at the end of last month. That was the expiration date for the tax credits for new and used electric vehicles. The second is at the end of this year, December 31st, is the expiration date for all of the home efficiency and clean energy upgrades that we know and love, things like heat pumps, insulation, solar, batteries, heat pump water heaters. Note here that installations have to be completed by the end of the year to be eligible for the tax credit, so homeowners really do need to act right now to claim the credit before time expires. The last
Hey,
deadline
Bob.
for, sorry, maybe someone accidentally off mute there. The last deadline is for EV chargers that folks have a little bit longer on that one until midway through next year. And Rewiring America has some great resources devoted to maximizing uptake of these credits before they expire, which I'll return to in a minute. But first, on the next slide, um, I'll just take a few moments to talk about the home energy rebates, which I know many of you are probably wondering about. We get questions about all the time. The home energy rebates, also created under the Inflation Reduction Act, actually encompass two programs, the home efficiency rebates and the home electrification and appliance rebates, both programs designed to lower the cost of home energy upgrades. Unlike the tax credits, these programs weren't cut by the One Big Beautiful Bill this summer. And even as DOE has announced other grant cancellations in recent weeks, the rebate programs have so far stayed off of the chopping block. So that's good news. But that said, the current administration has not granted any final approvals for states to launch their programs. So most states, including Virginia, remain in a holding pattern, waiting for that last green light from the Department of Energy. However, I do think that we're reaching a bit of a decision point here. If the programs make it through the DOE cancellation process unscathed in the next couple of weeks, I think we'll probably see three things happen in pretty quick succession. DOE will issue updated guidance. States will have the opportunity to revise and resubmit their programs. And then hopefully we'll see some states finally get that green light to launch. And that process is very similar to what happened earlier this year with the EV charging formula funding. If you'd like to follow these developments, I always say that the safest sources are the official ones. So I've linked here the Virginia Department of Energy has a dedicated page on the home energy rebate programs. And if you want a national overview, I've also linked the Atlas Public Policy Rebates Tracker, which is the source for this map here. And we're tracking these updates in Rewiring America's savings calculator, which I will show you on the next slide. So we built our savings calculator in 2022 to help households understand the IRA's tax credits and rebates. And since then, we've added thousands of state, local, and utility incentives that now cover more than 30 states, including Virginia. And if you would maybe click one more time to start that little video, so you'll see that all consumers need to do is enter their zip code and basic household info. We'll guess their utility, but they can correct it if there's more than one option. And then they can choose which projects they're interested in and see what incentives they might be eligible for those projects. And for state and local incentives, we'll usually link out to the source web pages. But for the federal tax credits, as you see now, we also have in-depth explainer pages to help consumers understand what qualifies and how to claim those credits. And as we'll hear about in a few minutes, the Virginia Department of Energy also has developed its own state-level savings calculator, which is a great complementary tool, which I'm really excited about. And together, these tools hopefully make it easier for households, contractors, and local leaders to see what's available, plan for home upgrades, and maximize savings when it's time to act. On the next slide, just um, talking about planning home energy upgrades, the savings calculator isn't the only tool that we've developed. We also have a personal electrification planner to help households organize and prioritize their projects, complete with step-by-step guides. And we have a contractor finder tool that started off by linking out to existing contractor networks, but now also includes individual contractors who have been vetted by Rewiring America. And if consumers still have questions that are specific to their individual situations, they can drop us a note directly and we'll get back to them with expert guidance. And you can find all of these resources at rewiringamerica.org/save. On the next slide, I wanted to highlight also just coming back to the tax credits that are expiring in these next couple of months. We have been offering these free Q&A drop-in sessions focused on the expiring tax credits that have reached well over 1,000 homeowners who are trying to make these projects happen by the end of the year. And in that process, we've received hundreds upon hundreds of questions about the tax credits and other incentives. And we've done our best to distill answers to the most common questions into an FAQ page, which is also at rewiringamerica.org/save. So if you're talking to homeowners who have questions about the expiring federal tax credits, chances are that you can direct them to this resource and hopefully it'll be helpful. And I always like to say that if you have ideas or suggestions for how else we can educate and inspire our homeowners to act, please do let us know. We'd love to collaborate. So that is the end of my formal presentation about the federal incentives and consumer resources. But I do just want to flag one more thing on the next slide, um, which is just in the face of the very serious challenges and setbacks we've seen to traditional energy efficiency policy at the national and subnational levels, we're also looking at new ways to incentivize demand-side resources. And one of those ways, especially in a state like Virginia, is to leverage households as energy infrastructure and unlock their value as power capacity providers. So we recently released a report linked here modeling how household upgrades like replacing inefficient electric resistance heating with modern heat pumps or installing rooftop solar and storage could help meet growing electricity demand from data centers and AI. And I'd add that it's not just a paper, it's also the start of some more direct advocacy for tech companies and data center developers to directly subsidize demand side interventions. So I think that this is a very exciting possibility for where energy efficiency incentives could go in the future. We'd love to work together on bringing this to life. So just putting that call out there. So with that, on the last slide, I'll just say thank you all for your time and for everything you're doing in Virginia to advance energy efficiency and electrification. If you're helping families navigate incentives, please feel free to share our tools, share our calculator, and don't hesitate also to reach out to us. We're always happy to collaborate or provide additional materials upon request. So back to you, Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Noah. I need to stop sharing my screen for a hot second because I forgot to do something, but I really appreciate your insight. Especially, I will 100% be following up to pick your brain about that data center report because that is fascinating. So looking forward to continuing to discuss. Next up, we have Jessica Greene from the Virginia Department of Energy, and she's going to discuss what Noah alluded to, the Virginia Energy Connect program, which is our state one-stop shop.
Hey everyone, thanks Rebecca and thank you Noah. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. So as Rebecca said, I'm Jessica Greene. I'm the Energy Outreach Coordinator with the Virginia Department of Energy. So I'll be sharing about one of our newest and latest tools, Virginia Energy Connect. So providing an overview, doing a little bit of a demo, and then also providing the opportunity, one of our new opportunities, the Energy Ambassador Program, and as well as what we have planned next. So next slide, please. So before I jump into exactly what Virginia Energy Connect is, I wanted to give a little bit of information about why we decided to launch this tool. So there are too many programs with too little clarity. Virginians might be eligible for a number of incentive programs that partially or fully cover the cost of energy saving projects from sources like weatherization assistance program and utility rebates to federal tax incentives. However, many are unaware of these opportunities even when they're making investments such as replacing an HVAC system. So they're leaving money on the table. We wanted to simplify the path to action. So each program with its own unique eligibility requirements and application steps can lead to a lot of confusion or can overwhelm consumers and contractors. So enter Virginia Energy Connect, or you might hear us refer to it as VAEEC Connect. It's Virginia's central hub for energy incentive information. It simplifies the complexity by having all of the information in one place. And I just want to make it clear that this was also responding to stakeholder needs. Virginia Energy decided to develop and launch Virginia Energy Connect to address these knowledge gaps and maximize the impact of the clean energy incentives available to Virginians. And that energy stakeholders across the Commonwealth, many of you sitting on this session right now included, have been calling for this one-stop shop resource to improve awareness and program participation for years. So VAEEC Connect is part of our response to that need. Next slide. So a quick video here to kind of give an overview of what Virginia Energy Connect is.
Many homes lose energy and money without realizing it, but Virginia Energy Connect can help you fix that and feel more comfortable. Get help paying for upgrades like insulation, water heaters, and solar panels without breaking the bank. Find experts, explore savings tools, and get support from local organizations. Act now to start saving energy and money. Visit energy.virginia.gov/connect.
Next slide. All right, so Virginia's one-stop shop for information on energy saving programs. It consolidates information about incentives that help Virginia residents and businesses lower their energy bills and improve their homes and buildings. It includes energy efficiency, solar, energy storage, and electric vehicle incentive programs across federal, state, utility, and local levels into a single hub where users can quickly identify relevant opportunities and understand application requirements. We've made it to be a simple, action-oriented website. VE Connect website includes an interactive browser where users can answer a few simple questions, such as who is their utility provider and what their estimated income is, to filter the programs that they likely qualify for. And this was collaboratively designed. The platform was created with input from community organizations, state agencies, local governments, utilities, and industry partners to ensure accuracy, usability, and responsiveness to stated needs. If you were a part of the VAEEC Energy Efficiency Forum last year, you may remember a couple of surveys that we had the audience fill out, and that was to directly get input for this resource. Next slide. So we wanted to make sure that Virginia Energy Connect would be accessible to all Virginians. It's designed to serve homeowners, renters, multifamily property owners, businesses, and residential contractors with a focus on households and small businesses that are facing high energy burdens. Some goals include educating consumers and contractors about the benefits of energy improvements, increasing awareness of available incentives, including combating misinformation about these incentives, making it easier to navigate program requirements and application processes, and encouraging participation among households with high energy burden. Next slide. So how will Virginia Energy Connect benefit Virginia? Built on accessibility and trust, it was built around the idea of meeting customers where they are, online, in person at a community resource organization, or through trusted community networks. We want to help ensure that energy programs reach those who can benefit most, and not just those who already know where to look. Lowering energy bills and improving comfort. VE Connect eliminates the need to search multiple websites and decipher complex eligibility criteria. It provides personal program recommendations that help the user reduce costs, improve comfort and safety, and contribute to grid resilience. Resilience and reliability. By helping households and small businesses upgrade equipment and improve efficiency, VE Connect will help reduce strain during periods of high demand and strengthen grid reliability. And finally, trained and ready workforce. More Virginians taking advantage of energy savings programs means that there's more demand for the contractors that deliver energy savings projects. By connecting these contractors to incentive programs and training opportunities, VE Connect helps ensure contractors are available when customers call and projects are completed to the highest standard. Next slide. So I'll share the link to the website after this presentation, but it is also in the slides here. So we have specific pages for residential users, commercial users, anyone interested in the Energy Ambassador program, which I'll be getting to shortly. There's a frequently asked questions page, consumer protection page. And if you go right now, you'll notice that the contractors and installers page is primarily filled with coming soon. That will be something that we are launching very soon, so more to come on that. Next. And then, of course, the incentives browser, which we've been alluding to. So this is the customizable tool that lists energy programs and incentives that are available to all Virginians. So if you can kind of see it in that image there, the user just puts in whether they're a homeowner, a renter, or a business. You put in your locality and your household size, and then household income brackets are automatically populated. The user would then select the utilities available within that locality. If there's a specific incentive type that someone is looking for in particular, or covered benefit, you can either select one or however many you want, or just click search and all of them will populate. And so you'll see there on the right is where the list of all of the potentially eligible programs are. You click on one, you get more details, and then you also get the link to actually go and apply. Next slide. So one thing I really want to make sure is clear is that this is not just a website. This is also custom support through energy ambassadors. So knowing that some prefer in-person assistance or might lack reliable internet access, we are training a pilot group of energy ambassadors. These ambassadors are people who will raise awareness about the eConnect and help people navigate available programs using the website. Ambassadors will include individuals who are already trusted sources of information for those in their communities, such as staff at community action agencies and in local government. And this is also an ongoing marketing, education, and outreach strategy and deployment. So there's a working group of energy stakeholders and also working with the energy ambassadors. We are meeting regularly just to make sure that we are marketing this opportunity as best as we can and brainstorming new ways to do so. And then also, this is a complementary mission. There are a lot of resources that already exist, but we see Virginia Energy Connect kind of going beyond Energy 101. It builds upon the existing educational resources by helping people take the next step. It connects people directly with the available incentives, programs, and contractors to implement the real projects and to achieve measurables. Next slide. So this graphic's just showing kind of the four main pathways that we see people going, or user going from maybe just hearing about a potential program or incentive to actually applying for and implementing that incentive. So like I mentioned, we have the energy ambassadors. These are the community members who are going through trainings about what the different incentives are, how to use the website, etc. And then they will funnel people into the website. Once someone is on the website, kind of gets that list of programs and incentives they're likely eligible for and choose which ones they want to move forward with. They will go to check their eligibility and apply for that website through an energy navigator. That is the program implementers and experts. So they are the ones that will be handling the personal information to actually check and ensure that you are indeed eligible for that incentive, and then to help you go through the application process. And then at the top, there's the program administrator. So that's who will be running the program. Next slide. So for energy ambassadors, like I've said, these are the individuals helping the residents and businesses understand and access energy incentives that will help them lower their energy bills, improve building comfort, and enhance resilience to grid outages and promote an increasingly clean energy system. The ambassadors are provided with free on-demand training videos. Right now, there's 4 of them, each about 6 to 10 minutes in length. And each of the videos cover the roles and expectations of ambassadors, effective communication strategies, program overviews, and a demonstration on how to use the website. So currently we have just over 30 individuals in a pilot cohort undergoing the trainings now. Feedback from this group will help shape the program moving forward, and we're looking to open enrollment on an ad hoc basis early next year. Next slide. So back at the end of July this year, we had the soft launch of the website. Then we met with that working group to get kind of their review, get their feedback, and any of the, a lot of their feedback we've already implemented into what was then our hard launch or phase 1 public release, which happened earlier this month on October 2nd, I believe. And so now we have it open for public feedback. So again, I'll have my email address. We'll have the link to the website coming up shortly. So if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear. And we are pulling all of that together along with some new content and features for a phase 2 rollout later this year. And then looking to have at least another probably phase 3 rollout next year. But definitely want to reiterate that this is going to be a maintained ongoing resource. It's not going to be something that we hit publish and then never go back to update. Next slide. Great, so there is my email address. Also want to say, if you haven't already, we do have a quarterly e-newsletter, Current Connection. That will provide you with the latest on what's happening with the website, with the working group, any of the marketing, education and outreach for Virginia Energy Connect, but also it has specific program areas within it as well. So we always have something about solar, workforce, and home energy rebates. So with that, I will turn things over to Rebecca and Maya.
Thank you, Jess. So as Jess mentioned, next up is Maya Dhavale with the Fairfax County Office of Environmental and Energy Coordination to talk about their Energy Compass tool, which is kind of a local version of what we've been hearing about. So Maya, you have the stage.
Thank you all. I'm glad to be here and would love to build a little bit on what Noah and Jessica have been talking about. As mentioned, I'm Maya Dhavale. I'm with Fairfax County in the Office of Environmental and Energy Coordination. I'm a senior community specialist. Our office is, next slide, please, the Environmental Office for Fairfax County. We coordinate the implementation of the 3 climate plans that we have. One is focused on resilience, one is focused on county operations, and the one I work on is focused on community operations. So one of the goals that we have with our emission reduction plan for the community is working on emission reductions through the residential energy sector. And so where we are with our program, this goes toward that goal of emission reductions in the residential energy sector. So we have a program, it's called Energy Compass, and it's a relatively new program that we've just launched. And its goal is to help Fairfax County residents in making energy efficient upgrades to their homes. We've done a little bit of research and we've looked at what's going on with people when they're trying to make energy upgrades, and we wanted to help them reduce those barriers so that they were able to make energy upgrades with confidence. Energy Compass is this program, and we've designed it to be a resource for all residents, whether or not they're interested or able to make energy upgrades at this time. But we wanted to become a trusted source of information, and we wanted to build long-term relationships with the residents, meet them where they are, as some of the other programs today have mentioned, and create an ongoing assistance with any energy or home system renovations that the residents might be interested in doing. Next slide, please. So why did we develop this program? Well, it's a 3-phase program. And in our first phase, we were looking to see what would be the most effective way to assist residents with their energy upgrades for their homes. We did a bunch of different interviews with other programs and jurisdictions around the country that were working on the same kind of issue. And we also did a little bit of research at home to determine what residents might really need and what program that we could develop that would meet those needs. So we looked to see what kind of barriers residents had in completing energy upgrades or retrofits to their home. This chart here shows some of the different answers that were given. Bars in yellow show things that our program is able to address or indirectly address in the hatched bar. And the gray bars, the smaller bars there on the other side, they show things that our program doesn't directly address. So we know that people had a lot of questions around who to hire, how they were going to pay for it, what kind of information was out there, what they should trust, what they should understand, how to make it all happen, and a little bit of need for education so they understood why this was an important thing to be doing. Next slide. We also asked, what would you like to see in a program? So we ended up going with a concierge style approach because people were really interested in seeing what kind of technical questions they could ask and have their situation, their individual situation directly explained and have it make sense for just their specific home and the systems they have. There were lots of questions about contractors, who to hire, what to look for, lots of questions about how to pay for it, which gets to the topic of incentives, how to find someone, and what kind of systems and what kind of information they needed. They needed some education to understand the questions to even ask to get started on this. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we went with a concierge style approach. And so after we did the research and we designed a program, this is the way our program looks right now. We're in a pilot phase. I'll talk a little bit more about our timeline in a minute. But the way that this program works is it's designed to complement existing programs like the state program, as well as nonprofit and utility programs that we have in our area. And this is for Fairfax County residents that need technical assistance, and it's designed to be individual. So the resident would contact our program, and they could call us, they could email, they could fill out our web form. And then they'll receive information on how an intake form that will collect all kinds of information about their specific home and their systems. And then they'll be able to book a consultation time with an energy navigator. We all use a lot of the same words, but our energy navigators are the person who will be reviewing the information and giving and doing the consultation with the resident, so giving the technical advice. So that energy navigator, prior to that consultation, reviews all of the information and begins to formulate some kinds of recommendations that they can give to the resident during that phone call. So after they have this phone call, the resident is able to ask any questions they want. The energy navigator highlights areas that the resident should get, so it should have some information about. The energy navigator can give some incentive information that's tailored to the specific systems or the situation that the resident's in, can answer questions about contractors, so certifications, things like that, what types of systems might be appropriate, or prioritization in some ways. That energy navigator then can send, after the call, to that resident a tailored list of resources and recommendations, so that the resident has something when they walk away from this call. They have almost like a summary of the notes of the conversation, as well as recommendations, links to new resources. For example, we have Virginia Energy Connect listed, definitely a lot of resources for nonprofits. So we want to make sure that the resident comes away with very valuable information that they can use for their specific situation. And I mentioned we wanted to have a long-lasting relationship, so our energy navigators will call back and check in on progress, see if there's additional questions, if the resident is moving ahead with any projects, or wants, like the situation may have changed and they want to have another consultation call. Next slide, please. So basically a summary of what I was saying before. What we are offering right now in the pilot is individual technical assistance, making sure that the residents are aware of incentive opportunities that fit their specific situation, helping them find local qualified contractors, additional follow-up, any assistance that it happens either while they're in active consultation with us or months and years down the line. We're producing a website with resources for education and for the residents to be able to share, as well as other components. I mentioned we're in a pilot phase right now, and we're looking forward to evaluating our pilot now and then launching a fully featured program next year. Next slide, please. So right now in the pilot, our website went live in July. That survey that I mentioned earlier with the information on the barriers and what the program components would be most helpful, that was open this summer. We kicked off our program in September. We currently have 2 energy navigators that are available to answer resident questions, and we've already as of right now, had quite a few people go through this process. Our pilot will continue through May of 2026. During this time, we are continually evaluating with the questions that are being asked, the type of assistance that we're able to give to residents, topics that are coming up, and we want to produce additional resources and continue to meet the residents' needs as we learn more about what they're asking, what they need. We have also spent a lot of time developing partnerships, both with local jurisdictions, with nonprofits, with advocacy groups, and so we're continuing to build on those partnerships to think about other things that we might be able to add. So we've seen very successful group coaching and demonstration sites and a couple other approaches that we'd like to be able to incorporate into our our phase three or our full pilot or our full program once we leave the pilot. We are preparing for the full program launch, moving away from the pilot. And when we do, our goal is to assist 1,000 unique households, and hopefully 200 of those will complete an energy upgrade project. Next slide. So the goal of our program is really to meet our residents' needs, to link in and complement to other programs that exist, to help residents who might be interested in more deep and substantial energy retrofits, as well as to continue to provide resources, to continue to educate and bring residents into the program, and to continue to meet the needs of the residents. And as we learn more needs, to develop components that will assist all of the residents in Fairfax County. Next slide. So if there's any questions, that's the program email address, energycompass@fairfaxcounty.gov. The link there for the web link is to our office, where you can learn about a number of other environmental initiatives in Fairfax County. And we also have a monthly newsletter for all kinds of environmental news around Fairfax County. So appreciate any signups, or get in touch if you have any questions.
Thank you, Maya. So we are now going to move into Q&A, but I wanted to kick off with a question to the group. Something that we have heard time and time again is that connecting the consumers with the contractors is one of the big hurdles for these types of tools. So how do you what's the process for bringing in contractors to this kind of tool? How do you vet them? How do you find them? Just what is the process there?
I'm happy to start. We're kind of in the process of figuring all that out now. There are not a whole lot of other state energy offices doing the same sort of thing. The few that are in existence, I've talked to kind of figure out how they're navigating this. So one of the big things that you'll see in our phase two launch is having more of this contractor connection. So one, just having resources for contractors and connect them to trainings, but also being able to have users see what contractors are in their area and seeing if they are able to actually get the work done for the programs or incentives that they want. And in doing that, we're looking into, and again, none of this is set in stone yet, but we are looking into having a contractor database where contractors would fill out a form to be included within it. It would have like their license, types of license, certifications, all of that information that we would be able to check on the back end to make sure that they are fully licensed, insured, and actually have the credentials that they say they would do. There would likely be some sort of checking with Better Business Bureau to ensure that there aren't like a ton of complaints out there for that business. And then it'll look kind of similar to our incentives browser right now, but it'll be actually for contractors. So you'll pick your locality, you'll have the list, and you can kind of filter by, okay, well, I want solar panels installed, or I need someone to add insulation to my attic or install an EV charger. You'll be able to kind of figure out which contractors there are in your area and able to do that.
I'll add. I think that just hearing about that work is so exciting, because the last thing that you want to do is spend all the time and energy to get someone excited about installing a heat pump or doing any of these other home energy upgrades, only to send them to a contractor who doesn't want to do the work or doesn't do the work well. Um, and I think that one, similarly, as Rewiring America has started to build its contractor network, we are asking contractors to take a quality pledge that includes a set of installation standards, asking them to provide their licensing and insurance, which a lot of existing contractor networks actually don't do even that, and asking them to follow the ACCA, the Air Conditioning Contractor Association, quality installation standards. Um, and I think that most importantly to the work that we're doing is that we're investing in a cycle of feedback and iteration, and not just sending consumers out to contractors and hoping that the work is done well, but actually following up with consumers and asking how their experience was, to make sure that contractors are doing the work well. And that's a lesson that we've learned from some of the more successful contractor networks. We've looked at the example that Efficiency Maine has set in qualifying and then actively ranking their contractors, to ensure that they're directing consumers to contractors who are most willing and most able to do the work. So that's one recommendation.
Great. Maya?
So as the county, we don't endorse one contractor over another. And the way that we've produced our contractor list is by looking at industry certifications for local contractors and ensuring they have uh, basic certifications, as well as any contractors that have been pre-vetted through utility programs or other programs. And so we've built our list of contractors that way. One of the things that we've talked about is in some of our regional partnerships is that nonprofits and other groups might have a little bit more flexibility in endorsing contractors and having reviews on their sites, or they have endorsements. And so while the county can have information on how to select a contractor and a basic list of contractors who have met specific minimums, we would look maybe to partners where people could have a little bit more interaction on recommendations or previous work. We also do have a survey for anyone who's completed work as part of our program. Of course, we just launched, so no one's filled out the survey yet, but where we'll have people able to tell us about how their experience with the program and also experience with the contractors. That would be something that eventually we might be able to share or have more information about, or say, like, here's a reference of someone else who went through the program. We also have another county program called Greene Business Partners, and we're exploring ways that we might be able to get our contractor community involved in that program. And there's other things that we have in the works, but it is a little bit of a trick to ensure that people are able to connect with qualified contractors who want to do work and are interested in doing energy efficient or green work, and not very similar to what's already in a home or what they do on a regular basis. So it's a noted problem that we've encountered in other jurisdictions that we've talked to, as well as nonprofit groups.
Thank you. So we have one question in the chat right now for Jessica and Maya. How are you directing residents to your websites and energy navigators?
Maya, you want to go first?
Sure. So, like I said, we just launched, so we've been doing a little bit of promotion, mostly with the tools that we already have. So different newsletters and things like that. We do have some plans as we get going a little bit. We had I won't say a backlog, but a lot of people who are interested in through the survey. So 70 plus people that we've been working through, and we didn't want to get too many people on the list, and we wanted to make sure that we were able to serve everyone in a timely fashion. So our communications group has put together an outreach plan, and will continue to reach out. There's going to be podcasts coming up. There's already been a news article in targeted publication. One right now is just for, I think it's like older adults in Fairfax County. We're trying to be as inclusive as possible and looking to ways to do that. But social media and those sorts of things, and then working with partners and also outreach events.
Yeah, and for Virginia Energy, I'd say partnering and collaborating with our stakeholders on our working group, with those ongoing marketing, education, outreach, strategizing sessions, and deployment. So through energy ambassadors as well, like holding work, having, once they're trained, having them go out and hold workshops or attending events that are already well attended, like Earth Day event, or going to a farmer's market and meeting people out there where they're at. But also, we have a lot of local governments who their staff have joined the energy ambassadors, or who have just said that they want to be aware and know how to direct their communities to the website and how to help them navigate it. And so through having it highlighted on their websites, or having any flyers or materials out at any events that they're already doing. And then kind of similar, this is still pretty new and in the works. So there's a lot of plans we have for the future, but wanting to get materials and resources into like libraries, seeing how we can partner with schools, and then also just getting more ads out there, whether they're digital or print, having Virginia Energy Connect specific social media channels. And for now, we're relying on through our newsletters and having people sharing those newsletters. And then we're also conducting some interviews with different media across the state.
I'll say
Actually,
that we do plug Virginia Energy Connect is on, the link is on our recommendation sheet, and we do mention it, our energy navigators mention it during the call. So it's a sort of an example of what Jessica was just saying.
and that actually dovetails incredibly nicely into my next question for y'all, which is, you've each kind of talked about a small, medium, large approach to the same problem. So how can the three of you and your organizations, but more broadly, other localities, other organizations, uh, how would you recommend that you all collaborate and coordinate so that you are building off of each other's successes?
I can say that for us, Fairfax, it's a great example of one of the localities taking the lead to kind of create something similar to what we're doing, but being even more at that local level, and with them knowing their communities that they're working in. Maya will know way more about the different incentives and programs and things that the residents of Fairfax care about, but also that are available to them. And so we will be directing people to their Energy Compass resource. We already have City of Charlottesville and Albemarle County's Energy Resources Hub up on the website. So if you say that you're in one of those two localities, that'll come up as an option, and it'll link you directly to LEAP, who is helping them run that program. And yeah, that's all I have right now, but
I'll say that when we were designing our program, we had a lot of meetings with Jessica, and we were trying to be in alignment in the development of the program and ensuring that we were complementing each other. We did also talk with a lot of the localities in Virginia to see how they were linking in with Virginia Energy Connect, and making sure that, like Jessica said, we wanted to be Fairfax specific, but building on the resources of the state. So there wasn't confusion, and people weren't saying, well, if I already did this program, should I do that program? So there was a lot of collaboration there. And in addition, talking to jurisdictions around the country to see what worked and what didn't work and how they partnered, so that we could try to stay, have some lessons learned and try to stay in sync with everyone in Virginia. And then we really focused on regional partnerships to ensure that there's a consistent message in our region. We're, Virginia, Maryland, DC, and there's such a different environment in each of these places. So making sure that Virginia residents aren't getting confused, but we're also having a similar message as much as we can across the whole DMV. So I think partnerships are really important, whatever your resources are, and staying aligned with the groups that you're working with, and being aware of how federal level trickles down to state and to local, and ensuring that residents get the full picture when they call you.
And I think looping in that bigger picture, using Rewiring America's savings calculator to really make sure that we're staying up to date the best we can on all of the federal programs and incentives that are available. I know that's a resource that we've turned to use, and it's been a big help.
And likewise, I think I don't really have anything to add other than just to emphasize that funneling constituents and homeowners to those state and local resources is so helpful. I think that that's something that we've learned again and again, where um, when it comes down to it, folks will have very specific questions about their own situations, their own towns and cities and states. And so directing them to the folks on the ground who are most equipped to handle that is the most helpful thing that we can do. And we have seen that work really well in states that have strong home energy navigators or energy ambassadors. And so looking forward to doing that work in Virginia as well.
So I actually have a question for you, Noah, because Jessica and Maya's programs are relatively new, but the savings calculator has been around for 3 years now. So how have you tracked success for this program, and also what are maybe some lessons learned that Jessica and Maya could benefit from?
Yeah, I'll say that I think that the what started out, as I mentioned, as the calculator that just spoke to the federal level incentives has blossomed in a few different directions. So one way is just, as I spoke about in my presentation, incorporating the state and local incentives, because I think what we come back to again and again is that homeowners want more and more information. So the first thing that they wanted was, okay, great to know about the federal tax credits and rebates, but what about my utility incentives? And then they wanted to know, it's great to know about these incentives, but how do I actually execute the projects? And so layering on that project specific guidance. And then okay, I want to install a heat pump and I know the incentives, but how do I find a contractor? And so taking them through that entire journey from start to finish, I think is the journey that we've been on over the past 3 years. And I think that's something that we've started to put a lot more thought into is taking a more active hand in that user journey, not just to provide the information, but really try to shepherd folks along from the beginning to the end of that process and make sure that we're not just educating homeowners, but really inspiring action that ends up in an installation because that's what matters most. And so whether it's more the boutique resources and assistance that we've offered with the tax credits over the last few months, or just following up with a regular email cadence and doing that real tactical level marketing and communications outreach. I think those are the strategies that that have helped us not just provide education, but really get folks to installations and then following up and tracking those installations so we know the impact that we've been having.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So got about 10 minutes left. So if anybody has questions, please put them in the chat. But I have one more question for the three of you. So actually two more questions possibly. We had a panel earlier that talked about communication and communication strategies to how to message the importance of energy efficiency. Um, so Jess, you mentioned having effective communication as one of the training opportunities for energy ambassadors, but what are some tools that you would or strategies you'd recommend to our audience on how to bridge the gap, the knowledge gap with different communities to get your tools into their hands?
Yeah, so some of the recommendations that we've been providing our energy ambassadors is to one, come at users from with questions, basically. Don't come at them acting like the expert and railroading them with information, but just truly engaging, asking questions about finding out kind of what are some of the things with their home that maybe are most important to them. Are they having issues with comfort? Is it too cold in the winter? Are their energy bills too high? Kind of getting down to the root, and just having that kind of personable back and forth, instead of coming at it as like, I'm an expert, let me railroad you. We also are going to be looking at having resources that the energy ambassadors and possibly just up on the website for anyone to download that are like a one pager, but having it be multilingual, so that if you're in an area where English isn't the primary language spoken, it'll be able to be a tool for people in those communities as well.
That's great. Maya or Noah?
I think what Jessica said about the way that people are interacting with the information, that with the people who are delivering the information is really important. That's one of the reasons that we went with the concierge style approach, so that the information that the resident is getting can be as technical or not as they need. So it's really meeting the person where they are and not just saying, okay, well, what you need to do is this super technical, complex thing. It's more just like they get to set the tone of the conversation, and it's designed to be iterative. So if they ask questions today, and then they think of something in 3 months or their situation changes, they can come back. If they've said, well, I read a little bit more about these heat pumps, I want to know some more about this, or tell me about my electrical panel. So it can be a resource that's ongoing, and as we build the program and we notice there's need in other areas, other components, we can continue to meet the residents where they are and deliver the information in a way that's the most digestible for them. Similarly to what Jessica said, Fairfax County is very diverse, and so making sure that we're able to reach all the residents of Fairfax County, all the populations, economic and racial diversity, and ensuring that the messages that we're getting out are appropriate and are able to be heard. And it's always a challenge to do any kind of communication for a really large county like Fairfax, but we're doing our very best to make sure that all the residents of Fairfax County are aware of the program and how we can help them.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I could not agree more just with the concept that cutting greenhouse gas emissions is not going to be the primary motivation for a whole lot of people that we're trying to reach. Sometimes even more often it's cutting energy bills, but sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's reducing indoor air pollution or improving home comfort or fixing or modernizing broken appliances. And so recognizing that there are multiple pathways into that conversation is really important. And as I think we've seen, like with all of these programs that we've talked about today, the idea of showing people the benefits of these upgrades, in addition to just telling them about the benefits. So whether it's a neighbor hosting friends to see their new heat pump or solar panels or test drive an EV, I think that those sorts of real life illustrations of the benefits of these upgrades is so important. And at Rewiring, we've been trying to feature those benefits and those real life stories through a whole bunch of different channels, through social media, through short form videos, having folks just write letters to the editor or op-eds about the benefits that they've seen, not just telling people that they'll save on their energy bills, but saying, I installed a heat pump last year and my energy bills have dropped 30% since then. I think that can be a really effective tactic.
Great. So we only have a couple more minutes. If anybody has any questions for our panelists, I have one last one, and it is actually from the opposite direction. So if a utility launches a new program or a co-op launches something new, how do they get connected to your tools so that they are included?
I can start. So we are working with the utilities that we have in Fairfax County. So there are already programs that we're aware of. The many of the incentives that are offered right now are through the utility programs, and so we have meetings set up and a partnership that's been developed to ensure that we are coordinating. I mentioned earlier that Energy Compass was designed to fit into the existing landscape of the state programs and other incentive programs and utility programs as well. So we want to complement all of the existing programs and to dig a little deeper and give that individual assistance and connect people with the utility program if that's the most appropriate or the utility incentive. So we envision an ongoing collaboration and partnership with the utilities that are in Fairfax County, and hopefully doing some promotion of each other's programs. But we'll definitely be putting people toward any of the utility programs or incentives that are appropriate for their specific situation. And that's part of the conversations we're having with the utilities that they could make Fairfax County residents aware of Energy Compass as well.
Yeah, very similar, really relying on that collaboration and partnership with utilities, with the local governments that are across Virginia, to make sure that one, we're not missing anything, but two, a big one, that the information we do have is accurate and up to date. And so from the get-go, we have many of the utilities in Virginia as part of the working group. I think I saw that Carla Dix with Columbia Gas is in this session. She played around with the website during the soft launch and was able to offer some great feedback and suggestions on how to change up the program description for one of Columbia's programs. So worked with her on getting all of that messaging corrected. And then we have a website maintenance plan in place to make sure that we are frequently going and making sure links are working, they're up to date, they're not broken. And then also reaching out to the utilities, to the local governments on an ongoing basis to make sure that everything that's available is there and is up to date.
Yeah, likewise, we're always looking for local partners to for feedback. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email. And this also reminds me that in addition to um, the feedback out to you all, well, from you all to us on our tools, we also have an API that I just dropped in the chat. If you want to take our tools like the incentives calculator and embed it on your website or use it to inform the work that you're doing. So we want it to really be a very open two-way street and to support local organizations with the tools that they need to succeed. We don't need to hoard these resources ourselves. So put that out there too, in case anyone wants to go and run with anything that we've built so far.
Wonderful. So in the last roughly 3.5 minutes that we have, I'd love for each one of you to sound off with a key takeaway that you want everyone to leave with.
I'll say in the spirit of this discussion with consumer-facing resources, consumer testing is so important. Making sure that these tools work for the people that we're trying to reach is critical. And so I would encourage folks to prioritize that. And if you need help or want resources, always reach out and we can work with you to do that. Because I think it's really important that these tools work not just for us who know the most about what we're talking about, but for folks who are coming in from all sorts of different walks of life.
Yeah, similarly, I'll say that Virginia Energy Connect is not going to be successful without the help of everyone here in this room, just sharing it and spreading the word, getting that marketing and outreach out there so that people know it exists. And then also just if you think of ways of, hey, this part was a little clunky, it might actually work better this way. We want that feedback. This is going to be um, an ongoing tool. I think one of Noah's lessons learned or best practices, you mentioned it being like an iterative process. So yeah, we need you to go out and share about it, but we also really want your feedback so that we can make this work as best as possible.
I was going to say something very similar. We're Virginia Energy Connect and Energy Compass are both relatively new programs that are launching. We're extremely excited to see how we can make a difference in Fairfax County and are actively looking for ways to improve our program. So we're looking for lessons learned or thoughts from anybody. And we're going to stay in collaboration with Virginia Energy Connect and other local partners. So any great ideas, send them our way, and we're happy to be a resource for other programs that are getting developed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. This has been incredibly enlightening, and I really am looking forward to digging into all of your tools a little bit more. Um, As everyone can see on the screen, you have all of our wonderful panelists' contact information to follow up if you have additional questions. But we're all going to move back to the main room right now. So for Chelsea's closing remarks and a quick overview of tomorrow. So thank you all so much. You were wonderful. I will see you soon.
Which should be ending now.